What's up, Tim Sykes here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe. I hope that you're not going down with the ship. This is the S&P 500 over 7 days. Really starting to crack pretty big. Lost 3% today alone. If you go out to the daily chart, we're starting to see some troubling signs. And if we crack through this support, then you'll have, basically a lower high and a lower low. That's not to say that we're definitely going to crack through the support right away. But we're getting pretty close. And, this is not a good pattern, especially given where we've come from, right? Like if you just look at it here, okay, that's market choppiness. But this is the biggest 100 days ever. So you really have to be overly safe. And frankly, this is how I've avoided losses, where I'm getting so many messages from people being like, how did you know? I didn't know. I just protect. I trade like a sniper. For the day, I made a little under 2 grand, nothing huge. Took a few trades, nothing, no home runs, one loss, nothing really, to brag about, but I'm trading like a sniper. I'm protecting my account. And now for the month, look at this, 92,000 for October. And remember, I donate 100% of trading profits, specifically this month to charity, but this month is going to food banks. I'll have more news on which specific food banks. But a lot of families need a lot of food, and it's food banks all over the world. So we're researching actually, because we're talking to a lot of food banks. But all of this money, and I'll, whatever it is, I'm going to chip in extra, aside from just my trading profits. I'll throw in more of my hard-earned money just to make it 6 figures. But more important than just the money, it's the students. Okay, I love seeing students. Two students specifically, I'll get into the stocks in a second, but two challenge students who have been working very hard, Troy Mann and Zach Eddy 13. Both of them finished with their biggest day ever today, $1,000 and 676. And again, I know people out there are like, come on, they only made a few hundred or $1,000. That's their biggest day. Yes. It's good to trade small in the beginning. I'm so sick of all this misinformation and BS where you think you have to swing for the fences and hit home runs. Never in my life have I seen so much BS being spread these days by newbies, gunslingers, promoters, all of whom blow up and lose. So you have to ignore the BS. Trust me, it is good to start small and then scale up as you get more and more confidence. But there are a lot of plays, and small gains add up. Marcus made $1,000 on BANT. Andrea made 979. I like this. Simon is, he made a few hundred, I think, yesterday, and he's like taking the day off now. He's like going to ride bikes. That's cool too. It's not all just about money. It's how does the money increase your, enjoyment? How does it improve your life? Dan Irish made nearly 2 grand. Brian, nice little single here on MGEN. Jonathan made some money on MGEN, and I love this. And, he's like, I know these stocks can collapse out of the blue, so I went ahead and took my nice profit that I'm super satisfied with. And this is fantastic. Making 11%, in a few minutes, in a few hours, that's fantastic. And then Emily also made 20%. And I love this, And then look at this. The promoters are like, you won't be calling him a mentor when NWBO is at 20. By the way, NWBO, this is a heavily promoted name, and now it's crashing. A lot of people say, like, why is this dropping so fast? Because it is junk, okay? It's poo. It's poop. Actually, leave a comment underneath this video and say, it's poo. That's it. All the stocks that I'm talking about, they're poo. And all poo eventually goes down the toilet. I'm sorry to be crass, but that's the truth, okay? So NWBO is not going to $20 a share anytime soon. I hope that it can get back to the twos. Remember, I'm not shorting these stocks. I want them to spike. I want them to go up as much as possible. But you just can't put 10, 20 times price targets on these pieces of poo, because, you just hold until it's too late. And I got so many messages like, yeah, my students are making 10, 15% on the bounces. I actually probably should have dip bought this today. But it really was a better afternoon breakout. It didn't really do much in the morning. I saw Jack Kellogg was dip buying it a little bit. I haven't done like tremendously well with this. But I get messages, not just from my students who are taking, sniper-like trades, making 10, 20%. Sadly, I'm getting more messages from non-students who don't know my rules, who only find me after these stocks crash 50, 60%, and they see that I've been warning, to take quick gains versus the promoters being like, it's going to 20, it's going to 50, it's going to the moon. It's such BS, okay? Picture the worst companies in the world. Picture the most incompetent person that you know. That's basically who runs these kinds of companies, okay? They never go to $20 a share. I hope that this can get back to $2, but I think that they're going to need to hire some better promoters. So like on SFOR, right? Like this was up 200% yesterday. I did not hold it overnight. It finished near the highs and people were like, come on, Tim, give it more time. No. Day two, a lot of these OTCs, they have not been spiking. They've been morning panicking. And obviously today was a little worse just because the whole market's, the Dow dropped like 1,000 points today. But at the same time, whether or not the Dow is down, I mean, at the time, the Dow, I think, was down, opened down like 400. This stock on the first Green Day OTC, it's been best to sell into the close. SFOR was one, and then INNO was another one that finished at the highs yesterday, and I sold this one. I actually underestimated a little bit, selling in the 8s, and it got to the 10s, but I protected myself from today's morning panic. So adapt to what the market is trying to tell you. In past markets where we could have been more aggressive when, the overall market wasn't up the biggest ever in the past 100 days, you could have held overnight. But now you have to start recognizing, like people are like, how did you know it was going to gap down in morning panic? You never know, but you do recognize what patterns are working, and you have to adapt. If you ignore what the market is trying to tell you, you are condemned to repeat the mistakes of the past. SPAQ is a good example. You can go through all my posts. I was warning about it right here in the 13s and 12s when it cracked this multi-week support. And it was a simple price action play, right? And I got so much hate when it was in the 12s and the 13s being like, you don't understand, you're shorting it. I'm not shorting it. I've never shorted it, but I do know technical analysis. I do know when people are being brainwashed by promoters. And guess what? All the hate that I got, all the whining from people in the 13s, 12s, 11s, and 10s. Now we're down to the 9s. And people are like, I just don't understand. Because you're ignoring price action. It's poo. This stock is poo. All stocks that have this price action are poo. I love the idea of what they're selling. If the stock ever stops acting like poo, I have no problem buying it. But I respect price action, especially when I see so much BS promotion. Let's not forget, a lot of the promoters from the summer, guess what stocks they were promoting? ZOM, all of these spikes were promotion-based spikes. BIOC, all of this was a promotion-based spike. BIOL, all of this is all promotion. MARK, this is all promotion. XSPA, this is all promotion. GNUS, this is all promotion. IDEX, this is all promotion. Are you starting to understand? BOXL, this is all promotion. Are you starting to understand? This is how these penny stocks end up. If you watch my penny stocking framework guide, all of these stocks fit my 7-step framework. They're all in the long kiss goodnight. This is the number 7 pattern. Sometimes every now and then they have a number 6, but most of the time they have a number 7. And that just leads to oblivion. And it blows my mind that people go down with the ship and they hold and they hope. I have no problem buying any of these stocks if they show promise. ASTC is another one that spikes and can't hold its spikes, but I bought it today. I actually underestimated it. I was buying it right here. They got $1 million purchase order. So they actually got a good contract. But it was choppy in here near the market open, and I did not, hold past this 240 level. I think it was like right one of these. I was dip buying it, and I got into this mess. But it did get up to the 280s. So, even when I'm wrong, I'm on the right track. I did make a few hundred. I was better on BANT. This was my best trade of the day, by the way. And, I made like 14%. This one, I recognize that this one could spike 100, 200%. They had some positive press. They had the morning spike. I got it on a dip right in here. At 5 cents. And, it bounced a little bit midday, but not much. It was actually better in the afternoon. So part of the reason people ask, like, why didn't I give this more time? Midday when it can't bounce and the Dow is down, nearly 1,000, I'm not going to be aggressive. So I missed out on this afternoon bounce. Then I just rebought after I took my initial profits. This is a thing that you can start to do. Once you start to learn how to trade like a sniper, you can exit safely and then rebuy. Oh, amazing innovation. I really encourage you to learn to take profits and small losses, okay? That will get you emotionally detached from these stocks. Too many people are emotionally obsessed with these stocks because they believe in them. They believe all the promoter hype. They believe the promoter, quote, DD, the due diligence, as if somebody on Twitter is going to be a very useful researcher. No, they're full of BS. People on Twitter use random screen names. They don't show all their trades. There could be one person with like 14 screen names and they're getting hired to promote a stock. As I always say, expect the worst out of every company and every single trader in the world. And I know that's cynical, but you would be surprised at how corrupt this niche is. People ask, why am I so negative on these stocks? I'm not negative on these stocks. I'm realistic on these stocks. Too many people are just naive, too insanely naive and optimistic, not realizing that they might be talking, they think they're talking to like 20 different people on Discord. It might be one promoter. You have no idea the games that these sick bastards play. And guess what? I rebought BANT because I saw it breaking out. But as I said, when I took a small loss, gasp, I took a loss, I said rebought, but cut losses quickly if it can't break out over the morning highs. So I locked in the profits when it couldn't bounce much midday. And then, even though the Dow was down 1,000, I was like, all right, the stock is breaking out past the morning highs. Let's see if it can go. Sure enough, it could not go. So what did I do? Did I dig in my heels and say, the market is wrong? I believe in the due diligence. Was I a dumb newbie? No, I was a disciplined veteran. And this is why, frankly, I can make $1,000, $2,000. And, if I traded more aggressively, it could have been more. But I'm green on the day when the markets are down 3-4% and all these other traders are getting their asses handed to them. This is why I teach, not because I'm the best trader in the world, but because I cut through the BS on poo. That's what I do. Leave a comment underneath this video saying, I understand this is poo, or saying I like poo, or saying, don't hold the poo too long. Whatever phrase with poo you want to say. Let's see some creative comments. But I'm able to cut losses quickly because I expect the absolute worst from BANT. I expect the absolute worst from all of these companies. And so I am very able to take a small loss. And so what? I lose a little bit, but I made more than I lost. And guess what? That's how I've made 90,000 plus this month alone. Okay. And I'm not even trading aggressively. Understand that. And what did BANT do? I mean, I was cutting losses right here when it wasn't breaking out convincingly. It even tried to bounce. I'm sure some people were like, oh, Sykes just was too aggressive. And then it collapses into the close. Okay. Why is it collapsing into the close? Probably because if you look at all these other OTC first green day plays right here, look, day 2 on CBBT, poo. INNO, that big day, second day, poo. HALB, remember this breakout day over the previous highs? Let's look at multiple time frames on HALB just so you can understand. Look at this breakout over previous highs. Now the stock is down 60%. Why? Because it's poo. All of these stocks are poo. And once you start to appreciate that, then you can just trade rationally and logically and trade like a sniper. That's how you get profits like this. That's how, students like Emily, where she's taking 20 cents a share and the promoters are saying that it's going to $20, they're full of crap. Look at this, where you can make 10, 11% with no emotion. So this is what I hope to teach you guys. ASTC, I underestimated this because this was a former spiker, but they're doing financings and then the overall market is down. SCKT, remember, this was one of my losses yesterday. This one, I was a day early on the bounce. And this one actually bounces as a former runner from over here too. So even when I lose, I'm on the right track, which is cool. So you should judge your winners, you should judge your losers, but try to see what's working in the market and don't just hold and hope. Don't go down the toilet with the rest of the poo. That's today's lesson. Leave a comment underneath. Let's see what creative words and phrases you can come up with poo. But Remember that this is all poo, and I'm here to cut through the BS. That's what I do. I'm a professional BS detector.